As the first rays of dawn filtered through the curtains of my modest two-story house in Laney Creek, I laced up my running shoes for the familiar jog along those quiet, tree-lined streets. The rhythm of my footsteps, a steady anchor in the peaceful routine I'd built far from the chaos of my past. The cool morning air carried the faint scent of dew-kissed leaves, and the neighborhood stirred softly, neighbors waving from porches, dogs barking in the distance, everything in its predictable place. By 7 a.m., I'd be back, brewing coffee in my small kitchen, settling into the glow of my computer screen for another day of bylines of code. The virtual hum of team meetings my only real connection to the outside world. This suburb had become my sanctuary after years of shifting shadows in foster homes, a place where locks clicked securely at night and local headlines spoke of nothing more sinister than petty thefts. Yet, in the quiet moments between breaths, a trace of curiosity lingered, like an old scar itching beneath the skin, reminding me of the family I'd never known, the questions I'd buried deep to keep this fragile peace intact. That morning, as I stepped out onto the porch after my jog, something caught my eye. A small package tucked neatly against the doorframe. It wasn't from any delivery service I recognized. No label, no return address, just my name scrawled in precise black letters. Curiosity got the better of me, so I brought it inside, unwrapping it at the kitchen table while my coffee dripped. Inside was a vintage wristwatch, silver with a leather band, the face etched with faint Roman numerals. My heart skipped. It looked exactly like the one I'd lost years ago, back when I was 12, during one of those frantic moves between foster homes. I'd cried over it for days, that cheap thing my foster mom had given me as a birthday gift. How had someone found an identical one? I turned it over, checking for engravings or notes. Nothing. I laughed it off at first, figuring it was a prank. Maybe from Mark at work, the guy who always pulled stupid jokes during our virtual stand-ups. We'd chatted about old stuff once or twice. I might have mentioned the watch then. I couldn't remember. I set it on the counter and dove into my coding tasks, but every so often my eyes flicked back to it. By evening, I'd convinced myself it was a mix-up, some neighbor's package gone astray. Still, as I locked up that night, I double-checked the doors, a habit from my unstable days that I'd mostly shaken off in Laney Creek. A week later, another anonymous package arrived. Inside was a framed photograph, yellowed at the edges, of the foster home where I'd spent my early teens, a run-down Victorian in the city, with peeling paint and a creaky porch swing. I'd never shared this photo online or even digitized it. It lay buried in a box in my attic, untouched for years. My stomach twisted. Who would do this? I paced the living room, staring at the image as memories flooded back. The arguments, the constant flux of kids coming and going. I called Mark, but he swore it wasn't him, sounding genuinely puzzled. Dude, that's creepy. You sure it's not some ex digging into your past or something? I wasn't sure of anything. That night, I ordered a basic security camera online, the kind that connects to your phone. Laney Creek was safe. Everyone said so. But this felt personal, like someone had peeked into my locked-away life. The next day, I asked around the neighborhood. Mrs. Ellis, the sweet old lady next door who baked pies for everyone, shook her head. No, dear, I didn't see anyone. You know how deliveries are these days. Ghosts on wheels. Others I chatted with during my jog said the same. No one had noticed a thing. That weekend, I installed the camera, angling it toward the porch. But the feed showed nothing unusual, just squirrels and passing cars. The third gift shattered any lingering denial. It arrived in an envelope slipped under the door while I was out buying groceries. Inside was a handwritten letter on thick, creamy paper, sealed with red wax bearing a heraldic lion emblem like an old family crest. The words chilled me. I remember the night you wrote. Why did they leave me? Am I so broken that no one wants to keep me? We all feel abandoned sometimes, don't we? It quoted directly from my teenage journal, a ratty notebook I'd burned years ago to bury the pain. How? I'd never shared those entries with anyone, scrawled in secret during sleepless nights in group homes. Sleep evaded me after that. I'd lie awake, staring at the ceiling, convinced eyes watched me. I tore through the house, checking vents, light fixtures, even under the furniture for hidden cameras or bugs. Nothing. Paranoia crept in like a fog. I called the local police, explaining the gifts and personal details. The officer was polite but dismissive. Sounds like harassment, but it's not threatening yet. Change up your routine, Mr. Harlan. Vary your jog times. Maybe skip the coffee shop for a bit. I nodded along, but inside I seethed. This wasn't some random troll. This was someone who knew me intimately. Then came the fourth gift, the one that broke me. I found it in my mailbox after work. A shirt from my closet. My favorite blue button-down, neatly folded. At first, I thought I'd misplaced it, but unfolding it revealed stitching inside the collar. We're closer than you think. My hands shook as I dropped it. Someone had been in my house. I checked every window and door. No signs of forced entry. I started jogging at odd hours, zigzagging through unfamiliar neighborhood paths, my heart pounding not from exertion but fear. The coffee shop, forget it. I holed up at home, ordering takeout, eyes glued to the camera feed. Flashbacks hit hard. Being 5, torn from shadowy origins, bounced into adoption without answers. Could this be connected? Some biological tie reaching out in the worst way? The shadowy encounters began soon after. One evening, as I sipped tea on the porch, I spotted a tall, hooded figure at the edge of my yard, half hidden by the oaks, standing unmoving. I called out, "Hey, what do you want?" It melted into the darkness before I could approach, leaving my pulse racing. The next gift appeared inside, on my kitchen table no less, an antique silver locket. Inside was a photo of a baby that could have been me, chubby-faced and wide-eyed with a note. Shared blood, shared birth date. Isn't it time we met? My birthday was scribbled in that same precise hand. I couldn't ignore it anymore. Hiring a private investigator crossed my mind, but the quotes were steep, and part of me worried I'd sound unhinged. Instead, I dove into online ancestry sites, uploading my DNA from a kit I'd impulse bought years ago. Results trickled in, hints of a biological mother who'd given up twins at birth. Twins? The word hit like a gut punch. Public archives confirmed it. Hospital records showed 2 boys born, but only one adopted out. The other vanished from the paper trail like a ghost. Was this him? My mirror image, twisted by whatever life he'd endured? The gifts inside the house escalated. I'd come home to my photo album on the coffee table, pages rearranged, new pictures slipped in, strangers with my eyes, my jawline, smiling in unfamiliar settings. I confided in Mark over a video call, my voice cracking. It's like someone's rewriting my life. He suggested therapy for the stress. Kylan, this sounds like it's messing with your head. Get help. But I pulled back, convinced it was real, not just in my mind, and that I needed to handle it myself. The first real chase happened on a stormy night. Lightning flashed, revealing a silhouette in my backyard, peering through the rain-streaked window. I bolted out the back door, my feet slipping on wet grass as I yelled into the wind. He ran, but I gained on him, nearly tackling the shape. No, he slipped away, dropping something in the mud. It was a locket, identical to the one I'd received, engraved with my birth date. Our birth date. Nightmares followed. I'd stare into mirrors, only for my reflection to move on its own, smirking while I stood frozen, revealing secrets I'd buried. Voicemails piled up from blocked numbers, my own voice playing back. Remember that foster dad who locked you in the basement? I know how that felt. It was impossible, yet there it was, blurring the lines between sanity and madness. I set traps, faked departures, leaving the house empty while hiding in the attic. Nothing at first. Then, one night, I heard footsteps creaking down the basement stairs. I crept down, my heart thundering, and flipped on the dim bulb. There he was, rummaging through old boxes, his back to me. "Who the hell are you?" I growled, grabbing a nearby crowbar. He turned slowly, and it was like staring into a warped mirror. My face, my build, but with eyes hollowed by something dark, a scar tracing his jaw that I didn't have. "Kylan," he said, his voice eerily like mine, but laced with venom. Or should I say brother? I'm Weston, your twin. Separated at birth because Mother couldn't handle us both. She gave you up to the system, but kept me hidden away with relatives, watching from afar while you got the stable life. I froze, the crowbar heavy in my grip. He explained it all in that chilling monotone. Years of surveillance, piecing together my life from the shadows. The gifts were his way in, testing boundaries. We share everything, Kylan. blood, birthright. There's an inheritance, you see. Mother's estate, disputed and hidden, but only one of us can claim it. I've been preparing to become you. Horror gripped me as he lunged, knife glinting in his hand. We crashed through the house, tumbling into the living room amid shattering mirrors. Each shard reflected our identical forms locked in struggle, his face contorted in rage, mine in terror. He pinned me against the wall, blade pressed to my throat. "I've killed for this before," he hissed. "Others in our line who stood in the way. It's in our blood, the instability, the madness." I fought back, kneeing him and scrambling for the crowbar. We rolled, blood smearing the floor, his or mine I couldn't tell. Upstairs in the hallway, he slammed me into another mirror, fragments raining down. "You'll see," he laughed maniacally. "I'll wear your skin. Live your life. No one will know." A crash from downstairs. Mrs. Ellis, bless her, had heard the commotion through the thin walls and called the cops. Sirens wailed as we grappled, his knife slicing my arm, pain exploding. I disarmed him, pinning him until officers burst in, cuffing him amid his rants about blood rights and hidden siblings. The hospital visit confirmed the wound needed stitches, but the real scars ran deeper. Police delved into Weston's story, forged documents, and a trail of crimes tied to our family's shadowed past. Mental illness coursed through generations like a hidden vein, long concealed. Later, I visited the birth hospital, poring over sealed records. More secrets emerged, not just twins, but hints of other relatives entangled in a web of abandonment and deceit. Therapy helped, with sessions unpacking the trauma and my fractured identity. I upgraded security, alarms, better cameras, and slowly resumed my routines, jogging with a newfound wariness. Mark checked in more often, and Mrs. Ellis brought over casseroles, turning my isolation into something warmer. But doubts lingered. Anonymous calls trickled in, static voices hinting at accomplices. "Weston wasn't alone," one murmured. Then the postcard arrived, plain white with scrawled words, "Blood calls to blood." I stared at it, the wax seal matching that old crest, wondering if the shadows of kin ever truly fade in Laney Creek. Paranoia crept back subtly at first. A misplaced item, a figure in the distance. I delved deeper into DNA tests, uncovering distant cousins with stories of vanished relatives and patterns of obsession. One night, alone in the house, I heard scratching at the door, like nails on wood. Peering through the peephole, I saw nothing, but the camera feed glitched, replaying a loop of an empty porch while I swore I glimpsed movement in the playback. Sessions with a therapist became lifelines, dissecting nightmares where Weston's face merged with mine. "It's PTSD," she said, "but facing your history is key." I tried, reaching out to potential family through safe channels, but each response carried undercurrents of secrecy, as if the whole lineage were cursed. Mark invited me to a work gathering, my first social outing since. Laughter flowed, but midway through, my phone buzzed. a voicemail in my voice again. "We're not done, brother." I excused myself, heart racing, and checked the locks obsessively that night. Mrs. Ellis noticed my edginess. "You look haunted, dear. Is everything all right?" I confided a few details, and she shared her own tales of family ghosts, strengthening our bonds. Yet, as the days blurred together, the gifts resumed subtly. A single photo arrived in the mail, showing Weston in prison, smirking, with a note. "Mirrors don't lie." I varied my routines again, jogging at dawn and working late. Ancestry searches revealed more. Our mother hadn't just given us up. There had been a scandal, with assets hidden to protect them from predators within the family. Weston had uncovered it and twisted it into his vendetta. But who had helped him? The calls suggested others, blood ties lurking in the shadows. One evening, there was a knock at the door. The police with updates. Weston had confessed to having accomplices, distant kin motivated by the inheritance. "Stay vigilant," they warned. That night, as thunder rolled, I spotted a shadow outside. Not one, but two figures conferring. I grabbed the crowbar and flipped on the lights, but they had vanished. Therapy delved into my inheritance fears. Was I like him? Mirrors taunted me, their reflections flickering oddly. A new DNA match pinged. Another sibling. Location unknown. Paranoia peaked. I installed motion sensors, but they triggered falsely, heightening my dread. Friends rallied around me, with Mark crashing on my couch one weekend. "You're not alone," he said. Yet as he slept, I heard footsteps upstairs and found another locket on my pillow. Blood calls, indeed. Vigilance became my new normal in Laney Creek, where peace had fractured. Each day built suspense, as I wondered when the next shadow would emerge from our shared blood. As dawn's first rays filtered through the curtains of my modest 2-story house in Laney Creek, I laced up my running shoes and stepped into the cool morning air, scented with dew-kissed leaves. The tree-lined streets welcomed me like old friends, my footsteps sounding in a rhythm both anchoring and haunted, a fragile reclaiming of the routine I'd fought to preserve after past chaos. Neighbors waved from porches, dogs barked in the distance, and everything seemed predictable. Weston's trial came and went, his confessions unraveling the web of our fractured lineage, the hidden inheritance claimed at last, divided fairly under the law's unblinking eye, stripping away the motive that had fueled his madness. Accomplices were rooted out, distant kin arrested for their roles in the surveillance and gifts, their obsessions exposed as remnants of our family's cursed history of instability and secrets. I stood in the courtroom, facing my mirror image one final time, his hollow eyes meeting mine with a resentment that would never fully fade, even behind bars. The struggle ended there, in the light of justice, my wounds healing into scars that reminded me I'd survived the darker self I'd never known. Therapy wove the threads back together, helping me accept the expanded tapestry of my origins. Not just abandonment, but a network of siblings and cousins I'd begun connecting with through vetted DNA channels, turning isolation into tentative bonds. Mark became more than a work friend, pulling me into real gatherings that rebuilt my world. Mrs. Ellis and the neighbors formed a watchful community, their support a bulwark against the dread. By 7 a.m. each day, I'd return from my jog, brew coffee in the small kitchen, and settle into the glow of my computer screen, where the virtual hum of team meetings was now laced with genuine connection. My sanctuary in Laney Creek restored. Locks clicking securely with upgraded vigilance. Yet, as I paused one morning on the porch, a final, anonymous postcard slipped under the door. Its message stark. Blood calls to blood. No wax seal, no overt threat, but enough to stir the old itch beneath my skin. A reminder that some questions, once unearthed, cast eternal shadows. I crumpled it, tossing it away. But in the quiet moments between breaths, I knew the horror of unknown kin would always lurk, a dread balanced by the relief of having faced it, leaving me perpetually vigilant, yet finally grounded in the life I'd built. In the quiet dawn, as I laced my shoes once more, I felt it stir, a hint in my veins, reminding me that some inheritances can never be outrun. Hey guys, it's Malice here. I really appreciate you sticking around until the end of the story. I'm a one-man operation and trying my best to grow, so if you like what you just heard, please leave me a like. Subscribe if you want to hear more, and please send me any reading requests you might have. I'm always struggling to find new content. Thanks again, and stay scared.